coffee crew. Welcome back, besties. For those of you that celebrated Mother's Day, I hope you had a good weekend. We took my mother-in-law to lunch and had a nice time, which my longtime listeners know that I'm very fortunate. I have a great relationship with my mother-in-law. She's my shopping companion and we hang out. We're besties. We were even nice enough to bring our kids along with us. You know, hers, because I married him, and mine, since I guess that's kind of the point of the day. However you marked it, I hope you had a good time. Now, a few episodes ago, we talked about gaming and how it kind of mirrors that us versus them, who controls the design, who profits, how politics baked into games can reflect actual life. You know, sometimes you have to take a moment and show people the forest because they're too busy staring at one tree. Today, we're going to go in a more fun direction. We're going to talk about the why. Why do we play? Why do we enjoy it? You know, well, when we're not throwing the controller across the room. What do we get out of it? And why we are absolutely not apologizing for it. And remember, even if you only play Candy Crush on your phone, you are a gamer. And if you don't even play phone games, maybe this will spark your curiosity to try. So let's get the biggest outdated stereotype out of the way before we even get started. Gaming is not just for kids. Gaming is not just for teenage boys or single 30-year-olds living in their parents' basement. I am a 42-year-old mom of two said teenage boys, and I game daily. I started young with a Nintendo, you know, before saving your progress was actual thing. Like, you always had to start the game from the beginning. I remember this video I saw. Oh my God, I laughed so hard. So there was this 20-something-year-old that was playing retro games, and she got to the end of Lion King and she died. And she started panicking because she's like, wait, I have to start over? Why can't I just reload? It's like, nope. Start over, sweetie. You have to do it all over again. I'm going to tell you this. The things we enjoy in our youth don't require us to hand over the moment we're 18. It's not like, here's your diploma, here's your voter registration card, now hand your controller over. You know, if people can go fishing their entire lives, gaming should get the same treatment. As us OG gamers get older, so does the average age of gamers. And you don't blame me for that. That's just how math works. The average gamer is actually in their mid-30s and has been for years. Also, it's not a male thing. Women make up nearly half of all gamers. And you would think because of that, they would give us like better hair options, but nope. We still get 15 different types of bald and 3 bad haircuts to choose from. Also remember, if you've ever played a word game, puzzle, farming app, Candy Crush at 2 a.m. because your husband snores, or a card game on your phone, you're a gamer, whether you claim that title or not. The phone gamers, the casual gamers, the farming app loyalists, welcome to the club. You fell into it with the rest of us. Cosplaying is optional, but frustration is not. Now, there is this weird guilt that as adult gamers we sometimes carry because other people like to throw it at us, not because it's anything we did. Like, they look at us like we should be doing something more productive with our time. And I've absolutely never understood this logic. They can sit there and spend 2 or 3 hours watching a movie or binging a show and nothing gets said. But if you spend those same 2 or 3 hours playing a game, suddenly you're wasting your life and you're lazy. To me, games, especially because I like role-playing games, are just stories that I actually get to take part in. It's just a different way to enjoy stories from reading or watching. And sometimes it's actually more immersive than both of those. Depending on the game, sometimes you get to pick how the story goes. Either way, the path might be different, but the destination's the same. Remember, the second you turn 18, it's not, here's responsibilities, turn over everything you love. No, that's not how this works. You're allowed to enjoy what you enjoy, TV, movies, gaming, without justification attached. You don't wake up after graduation and start drinking black coffee and have to get excited about folding laundry. Full stop. All right, time for our weekly chaos. And this story is proof that chaos does not just live in my kitchen, but it follows me in every aspect of my life. I was a late PC gamer. Like I said, I started on the Nintendo and then I solely stuck pretty much to the PlayStation for most of my life. Gaming was what me and my dad did. So the console was how I gained because it hooked up to the TV and he could watch as I was playing. Same with my kids. So once that need for other people to watch me play, dad then kids, went away, I realized that a lot of the games that I actually wanted to play were all available on the PC. Because sometimes it's like Xbox only, PlayStation only, PC gets both. But more importantly than that, modding. Modding is this thing that can take a game from okay to absolutely incredible. Or in the case of Cyberpunk 2077, from broken to actually playable. So I wanted to play my Cyberpunk game and actually play it and enjoy it, which means fully modded, as it was meant to be experienced. For those of you who don't mod, it is not easy as just download this. It takes time. Mods are kind of like siblings who don't always get along with each other or their parents. This one can't sit next to that one. This one has to be loaded first. So I spent an entire evening downloading mods, fixing conflicts, testing, retesting, figuring out who hated who and why. And then the console commands wouldn't work at first, so I had to go down 3 separate rabbit holes just to get the damn thing open. But I did it. I got everything stable. The rare, mythical, all mods green light moment. If you know, you know. I went to bed mentally exhausted, but excited because I had a plan. I was going to wake up before my kids, before chaos, get my coffee, turn on the news, and actually play the game. The perfect gaming window. A quiet moment just for me and my custom-made V. I woke up early. Hubby had coffee started before he went to work. The house was quiet. I turned on my computer. I was all ready to go. Steam immediately opens up and starts auto-updating Cyberpunk. Every single mod broke. And the thing about modding is it's not just like go in and update your mods and it's fixed, because that would be easy. No. You have core mods and those need updates to match the game's updates. And those updates get done from modders who are real, actual living human beings who have real jobs or go to school and lives. And they mod in their spare time for the rest of us to enjoy. Doing God's work. So instead of playing, I now have to wait an unknown number of hours for the modders to update the mods. And they might not even come today or this week at all. My perfect morning window, oof, and a mess of zeros and ones. Because even once they got it fixed, I basically had to start the entire process over because the new zeros might hate different ones than they did the first time. As I sat there staring at my screen, letting my coffee go cold, here is gaming mirroring real life again, joy and chaos in equal measure. At least the coffee was a quick fix thanks to the microwave. So let's talk about the joy of finally beating the thing that you've been stuck on for like weeks. I remember one time when my oldest was just starting to get into playing Mario by himself. He got really frustrated on this level. He could not beat. And I told him, sometimes you have to walk away from it for a while. And then when you come back, it like feels easier. Fresh eyes can help you see a strategy that you didn't see before. And look at that, real life lesson dressed up in pixels and gameplay. Sometimes in life, we have to walk away and come back with a fresh perspective. This works in games, in arguments, in crochet, in home improvement projects, and as I have shown repeatedly, in baking, in literally everything. And then we have the rage quit. We have all been there. Do not pretend you are above it. None of us are. Now, personally, I like to play games as an escape from things or people that already frustrate me. So I like to play on easy or casual mode, and I have absolutely no shame about that. And if you play on those modes, you should not either. We all have different reasons we play and different things that we get out of it. So adjust your difficulty level accordingly with no guilt or justification needed. Don't let these gatekeepers think that you have to play on nightmare mode to justify getting your gamer tag. Play how you enjoy. That is the entire point. Adult gaming, it has its own chaos category. Kids walking in front of the screen during a timing challenge, cats sitting on your keyboard during a boss fight, wondering why your husband's screen hasn't changed in 10 minutes, only to realize he's nodded off in the chair mid-basketball game. There's snack logistics to think about. It's a whole thing. I'm going to say this, except for those of you who are peeing in bottles, stop it right now. That is gross and it gives us all a bad name. Gaming with someone else also has its own energy. Before we had kids, we had the Wii, and me and him would play like Wii Sports. We'd also do board games like Life. And the game had a mechanic where sometimes you would have to sue another player, and you had to shake the controller really fast to fill the bar. Whoever filled it first would always win. Now, anytime it was me versus the computer player, I had to have my husband do it. I was terrible at it. It made my wrist hurt. When I was little, I said me and my dad, that's something we did together. He used to buy the game for me and then the walkthrough guide. Yes, you had to buy the guide. There was no, you couldn't just go to the internet and Google the answer. And we would tag team it. He would sit there with the book and tell me where to go, what the book said to do. He would also, back when games, again, I'm kind of showing my age here, didn't have voice acting. My dad would read the the dialogue out loud for me in different voices. In driving sections of a game, he would completely take over and do this. I still, to this day, struggle with driving in games. My husband will laugh out loud because I will start yelling at my computer. Why is there driving in a shooting game? You assholes. If I wanted to drive, I would play a fucking racing game. And he will snicker. And then there's the games that just kind of mark the seasons of your life. The ones tied to a specific time, a specific feeling, or a specific version of yourself. You hear the music and you're right back there. It's emotional memory. It's real and it matters. Like I said, with me and my dad, it was something we always did together. So anytime I replay the original Final Fantasy VII, not the remake, the original, I can hear my dad reading the dialogue for me. Like I read it in his voice. And sometimes in games, you get to surprise yourself. For a long time, I avoided shooting games entirely because I was horrible at them. But when I switched from a controller to my PC with the mouse and keyboard, I realized it was actually easier for me on the mouse and keyboard. So I stopped just dismissing games if they had shooting mechanics. Look, growth. The knowledge that I can stretch beyond what I think I'm good at and find things I never knew I'd enjoy. Except for driving levels. That boundary is permanent and it is a hill I will absolutely die on. All right, time for our Brews News. It is May 13th, 2026, 6:13 a.m. As always, we start with the Epstein update. There is a little bit here. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick sat for a transcribed interview with the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday, May 6th, as part of the Epstein investigation. He's the first cabinet secretary in the second Trump administration to do so. Lutnick's name appears over 100 times in the files, including direct email exchanges with Epstein. Now, he previously said publicly he had cut all ties with Epstein in 2005. But after the files dropped, he acknowledged that he had taken his family, including his wife and children, to Epstein's private island in 2012 for what he described as an hour-long lunch during vacation. One of his explanations for being on the island was he didn't know why he was there. He was on the island and didn't know why. Now, the Democrats in the Oversight Committee called his testimony invasive and embarrassing. Rep. Ro Khanna said his responses were contortions and lies. And if Trump had seen the video transcript, he would have fired Lutnick. Committee Chair Comer, the same Comer who went after the Clintons aggressively for months, specifically because they wanted to give an interview instead of a deposition, described Lutnick's account as forthcoming and determined he committed no wrongdoing. Just sit with that contrast for a minute. What is acceptable for one party is apparently not for the other. This double standard is blaring and it needs to be called out. Bondi is another one. Not a deposition, an interview, and it is still scheduled for May 29th. It's worth noting the DOJ's internal watchdog announced this week that it's going to open its own investigation into the DOJ's compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. So now we have the GAO, the DOJ inspector, and the House Oversight Committee, who are all simultaneously investigating. 3 separate watchdogs circling the same thing at the same time. As always, if you want to see the files for yourself, justice.gov/Epstein. Story 2, I want to talk about this gerrymandering war that's escalating. Texas started it, then California, and then it's just been back and forth. This week, Virginia became the center of it. And again, it's another clear case of what is okay for one party is not being okay for the other. And that's not me saying it. It's proof in the data. Virginia voters approved a redistricting referendum on April 21st by a 52-48 margin. A voter-approved measure to redraw congressional maps. However, on Friday, May 8th, the Virginia Supreme Court struck it down in a 4-3 decision, ruling that the Democrats violated a procedural requirement when placing the amendment on the ballot. Now, Virginia's Democrats have appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. So let's zoom out a little bit and look at the full picture. Republican-led states across the South, Florida, Louisiana, who had already canceled a primary that was underway, like people had voted, Tennessee, and Alabama have been redistricting aggressively since the U.S. Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act 2 weeks ago. Those maps are proceeding, not a single issue. But Virginia Democrats try to respond with their own maps. And not just that, they had the voters approve the maps, and 4 unelected judges threw out the will of the voters on a procedural technicality. So you have one side playing their own game however they see fit, and the other side's being told that the rules don't apply equally. This needs to be highlighted and remembered come November. For my third story, I want to talk about this tone-deaf moments this week, because sometimes the news, they just hand them to you on a silver platter. First, we had the Department of Transportation, who filmed and posted a promotional family road trip video, all on the taxpayer's dime, while most Americans are just struggling to afford gas. Yeah, read the room on that one. Then you have Kevin Hassett. He's the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. He's out here trying to spin the fact that Americans are increasingly relying on credit cards to cover basic expenses as a positive economic indicator. His framing is basically this: people have access to credit, and therefore the economy is healthy. The response I saw said, yes, people are paying more for gas, but they're paying more everywhere. So here's the part he didn't say. Credit card debt is at record highs. Interest rates are still elevated. And the only people who are actually thriving in this scenario are the credit card companies, who get to collect interest. When you have to put your groceries on a credit card to survive the month, that is not a flex for our economy. This is a warning sign that is being blown off. The people in these rooms who make these decisions are so far removed from reality of what the people they're supposed to be serving are experiencing that they cannot see the difference. That is a problem. And it is a huge one that is worth remembering when you vote in November. All right, back in episode 15, we talked about rest and escapism, both being legitimate, and it bears repeating here, but with one small tweak. Make sure you know whether you're doing it for rest or escapism, so you know what to monitor. Rest is restorative, and escapism is a tool that sometimes is necessary. They're both valid. They both serve a purpose. But you have to know which one you're doing so you know when it becomes a crutch and it stops being helpful. So gaming builds real skills that we don't give it enough credit for. Logical thinking, strategy, hand-eye coordination. It's like the modern day crossword puzzle and word search. It helps keeps your mind active and sharp. And that really matters more and more as you get older. Study after study has shown that keeping your mind active can help slow things like dementia and Alzheimer's. So strategy games, puzzle games, even action games that require quick decision-making under pressure. These are cognitive weightlifting dressed up as fun. Problem-solving skills and pattern recognition transfer into other areas of your life. And if you're playing something that's story-driven and complex, you're building empathy and perspective taking, even if you don't realize it. You can't mentally put yourself in someone else's shoes and walk away without seeing their point of view, at least a little bit. Community is another great thing about gaming. The friends you make in gaming spaces. The people who get it. Finding your people. Now, I don't do a lot of online co-op gaming. I like to play by myself. But I've found community in groups of people who love the same solo games that I love. I'm part of a women's gaming group on Facebook. I have groups for specific games. We talk about what we like, what we wish was different, what we hope for the next game if it's a series. Just please keep in mind the gatekeepers. The ones who want to quiz you on your credentials before you're allowed to enjoy it. Like, you have to answer these 10 questions about the game or you've never really played it. The ones who want to act like that, if you get it wrong, you're an invalid fan. Disagreement is fine. It makes you think outside of yourself. But trying to belittle people because they enjoy something differently is not. Easy mode, phone games, casual play, they're all valid. You do not have to prove anything to anyone, especially not those people that are peeing in bottles. They already don't have good judgment, so their opinion is piss. Literally. Gaming is also legitimate self-care for people who don't do things like candles and bubble baths. We have a whole wellness industry built around one type of rest, but very little credit is given to other types. If it looks like putting on headphones and disappearing into a world where you get to be the one who figures things out, where you put yourself in this role where you feel like you have more control than you do in real life. That is real valid rest too. Remember, we don't yuck anybody's yum. Everyone has different tastes. There are gaming grandmothers. There are gamers who turn their enjoyment into a career with paychecks and everything. There are people who've met their closest friends in online gaming and have maintained those friendships for years through a shared love of the same thing. There are people who got through the hardest parts of their lives with the help of games. And that small sense of taking back control when everything else felt like it was spinning out of it. All of it is valid. You do not have to justify it to anyone. You don't have to earn it. And you don't have to prove your point to anyone who doesn't understand. Their understanding is not a you problem. It's a them problem. And you have enough of your own problems. So don't borrow theirs. Spend that time on your game. Way more fun. All right, coffee crew. It's time for Shovel Happens. Take a nice, deep breath. Let the episode settle. You know I like to ground you out before I send you on your way. This week's card is the Page of Wands. Close your eyes if you can and let yourself immerse in the imagery. The scene is a desert, as if the sun has just gone down. It's dark, but you can kind of see the clouds and the mountains in the distance. Sand and rocks are underfoot. It's dry, quiet, a little desolate, not frightening, just still. In the middle of the scene is what appears to be a child. He is dressed in white pants and a white cloak with the hood covering him, as if it had been keeping him safe for the sun, and now is keeping him warm, since the sun is gone. He's facing away from you, not because he doesn't want you to see him, but because he wants you to follow him. You cannot see his face. What you can see is he is standing in front of bright, warm, yellow light. And he is holding a glowing wand out to his side, as if he had used its power to open this portal to somewhere else. The portal glows as it opens, and the wand glows as if it's loaning the portal its power. He is not running. He is not hesitating. He is just standing there, patient and curious, watching the portal finish opening so he can step through. The dark, dry desert behind him, the unknown light ahead, and he is ready. Upright, the Page of Wands is the energy of new beginnings and genuine curiosity. It shows up when you are standing at the edge of something you haven't tried before. A new game, a new project, a new skill, even a new version of yourself. This card does not promise you'll be any good at it. It's just saying the door is open, available, and you are allowed to walk through it. The beginner's mind, the willingness to just try, to see what happens. And that's not a small thing. That's actually one of the hardest things we hold on to as we get older. The older we get, the scarier new becomes. Reversed, the Page of Wands asks where you are standing in the desert, refusing to even look at the portal. Where are you talking yourself out of trying something because you might not be good at it, or because it feels like too much effort to start, or maybe because someone told you that it wasn't for you? This card reversed is not failure. It's hesitation. The portal is still there. It's still lit up. The invitation has not expired. It's just waiting for you to follow the boy. The boy in the white cloak is not looking back at the desert. He's looking at what's ahead. So this week, just try to take one step towards something new. The door is waiting. All right, coffee crew. Play is not frivolous. It is human and a good time. It's a different way to wind down. Stretch your mind. Immerse yourself in something that asks you to be present and gives you a sense of control. Whether you are fully modded and 40 hours deep in an RPG, praying that it doesn't run a random update and break everything, or you're doing a daily word puzzle on your phone while your coffee brews, it all counts, and you do not have to justify it. Little milestone update for us. We are still on our no 0-day download streak. We also hit 2,000 downloads, and half the time it took us to hit 1,000. Half the time. Word of mouth is working, and I see and clock every single download, and I love all of you for it. So keep spreading the word. Like, rate, share, subscribe, leave a review. Every single one of those things is like a cookie to that algorithm monster, and that bitch is hungry. So let's keep feeding it. You can find us on Instagram at coffee.crochet.conversation. Facebook, just search the name of the show. You can send me your own chaos story, a picture of your current project, gush about a game you're loving right now. Maybe I'll try it. And as always, coffee crew, keep your stitches sassy, your coffee strong, and your spirit grounded.